Sorry, a little late there. Hello again, it's Steve at Vintage Keys Studio. This evening we're going to be looking at the Godwin String Concert SC749, which dates from mid-1975-ish, I suppose. I don't know the exact date of these things. I do know that they were made just after the Solina string ensemble, which was the famous one that people like Stevie Wonder pioneered, and that are unbelievably expensive to buy now. This one, saying that, is very, very, very rare and always commands high prices. It's so rare that I've got two of them. They both came to me and they didn't work properly, and I had to do a bit of messing about inside. But luckily, all of the little IC chips inside, integrated circuits, are all the plug-in ones, so you don't have to solder anything inside. You can just take the ICs out and put new ones in. That's if you can find them, because one of them is so rare it costs more than the keyboard does itself. MK something or other. But anyway, and some company made a replica of it for vast expense, and I've got through two of those. They don't quite work. So this is the String Concert from mid-70s, and it comes in a lovely box, and it's got its own piece of felt there for keeping the keys nice, like you would do on maybe a Yamaha piano. But I personally like to stick it there because it stops the sliders from getting too dusty. You've also got a branded Godwin music stand made of sort of plexiglass stuff, smoked plexiglass. There we go. Very stylish. Now, these things are used on an awful lot of cool stuff. I've used it on some music where I was attempting to do a pastiche in the style of the composer Alan Hawkshaw, who I happen to be friends with his daughter Kirsty. It was actually when I'd written a piece of music on this, and I think I sent it to her, and that's how I got chatting to her. This thing is basically got a main oscillator which goes through a top octave divider, which splits all the notes up into their various orders. And then it's got a very, very straightforward selection of controls here. This is a polyphonic keyboard, and I'm not 100% sure how polyphonic it is. Oh, hang on. Well, it seems to play everything at once. It's basically got three identical sounds, but just shifted an octave up. So you've just got the cello 16-foot sound, very like on the filicorda sort of idea, same sort of circuitry. So the cello 16-foot, and then there's the viola 8-foot, and then the violin 4-foot. So you can combine those three and get a sort of a vaguely stringy sound, but not quite yet. And then you've got the tone controls. You've got a bass control, and then a treble control. And then you've got a chorus effect. So I'll put the tremolo effect on first. And then the chorus. Still just sounds like a synthesizer-y thing, which was quite good. This is where the string sort of sound comes in, because you've got the attack control here. So this changes the envelope of the notes. So you've got... And then you can change the sustain, so when the note's taken off. And it's got fairly long sustain you can have on it, and a fairly long attack as well. So you can get all kinds of nice sounds on this. So here we go. So yes, you've got all these various controls on here, and I kind of wish that all synthesizers were like this and had these controls, because you can get, obviously it's all the same sort of stringy kind of sound, but the fact that you can kind of just sort of engineer your own sounds with such simple controls, I think it's great. They kind of did do things like this with things like the I suppose the CS80 in a way is a kind of sort of thing, and polymoogs and all that kind of stuff. But obviously this is geared towards recreating string sounds, so you can get that kind of Stevie Wonder village ghetto land sort of thing. Probably have to pay Motown lots of money for that now. And as well as the Stevie Wonder stuff, there's also other kinds of things you can do on this as well. And my favourite has to be the Sooty Show. This keyboard has probably been used mostly for library music, and as I say, I mentioned Alan Hawkshaw before. I'm not sure if he actually used this particular one, but it sounds very like some of the kind of Bruton library albums of the sort of mid-70s and the KPM ones. And so certainly I've done some session work for people who've wanted that sort of sound, and that's always come across quite well. One person I know who did use one was a guy called Giampiero Boneschi, who he was or is, I'm not sure if he's still around, he was the arranger and conductor for Pino Donaggio's film music, and Pino Donaggio did films like Don't Look Now for Nicholas Roeg and Carrie for Brian De Palma. Yeah, so he was I think he did all the scoring for it, but he made a lot of other records and did all sorts of things. But he made this very bizarre record, which sounds certainly very much like one of these string concerts playing on it. And it's a sort of an album of wordless, it's not really jazz, it's sort of wordless porn music, really. And it just goes... It goes on like that. I'm going to be recording an album of that later this year, if you'd like to buy it. One thing I really like about this is you've got it with no tremolo or chorus on, and the way that the vibrato kind of creeps in when you put it up full, and then you can hear the way that the modulation kind of moves around. So it's like it's got almost like three-dimensional modulation going on, because you've got the tremolo and then the modulation kind of around it. I think that's quite nice. And the modulation is like a kind of a chorus effect. And if you have it set just like that, you get that kind of funny sort of phasing sound. I have managed to get this to sound like a Hammond Nova chord as well, by putting it through a Hammond organ speaker or a Leslie speaker, and I will be demonstrating that later on when we probably do the C3 film very soon. So that's it really. It's a really kind of pliable instrument. You can kind of do all kinds of things with it and get some really nice sounds with it, and also some really terrible sounds as well. The reason why I've got two of them is because I bought one ages ago, about 10 years ago now, and it was sort of very expensive and it was broken, and I fixed that up. And then I wrote a blog post or something, I think it was a blog post, about fixing it up. And then I was inundated with people saying, do you want to buy my string concert? And I thought, well, I don't really want another one, so I've already got one. But then somebody came along with one, and it was such a nice condition, I thought, well, I'm going to have to buy this one, because this one under here, I'll just very quickly show you. My first Godwin it's a bit worse for wear. It's got a bit of rust and sort of tarnishing on the top of it, and some of the sliders have broken off. They all still work, and the whole thing works perfectly inside. It sounds just as good as this one. And sometimes I like to just pose with it, whereas a lot of people would probably give their left arm for one of these. I've got two. And I've got two arms as well. I don't mean to look smug, but it's lovely having two. This is Steve, and I'm just about to sign off. I need to get back out there and get scaring again. So good night to one and all, and I'll see you very soon for the next video.